Hi there. So what I'm reading right now is The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoyevsky, which is a pretty heavy Russian classic, which a friend lent to me during lockdown, which I'm quite enjoying, but can only sort of manage in small chunks. What's quite interesting it's about this family of a father and three brothers who all sort of grew up apart from each other, and basically Dostoevsky is looking at all these questions that were obviously really important in Russia at the time about like what should the role of the church be in the state and that kind of thing. So it's quite an interesting insight into a different time and place. I mean, it's quite hard to think about like one single book which has had the most impact on my life. I mean, I love East of Eden by Steinbeck, which is a story. It draws on quite a lot of biblical inspiration, but it's almost like a retelling of the story of Cain and Abel through like several generations of the same family, but kind of based in California, and has the best villain I've ever come across in any story. And it's just really beautiful and like really wise book. So in terms of biographies, I don't tend to read a lot of non-fiction. I prefer stories. But I really love Jackie Pullinger's Chasing the Dragon, which is about her missionary work in Hong Kong, which is really inspirational. And also Corrie she wrote a book called The Hiding Place. Her family, they're Dutch, and they basically smuggled Jews out of Nazi-occupied Holland, and then they all got arrested and put in concentration camps. And it's the most incredible testimony of, like God's work in a time of suffering like that. So I'd really recommend that. I reread all the books that I read. I tend to read really, really fast and then read the same book over and over. I don't read slowly and read just once. So there's lots of books I reread. But I really enjoyed, a lot of people have heard of C.S. Lewis and heard of the Narnia books, which are amazing, but he also wrote a trilogy of sci-fi books called the Space Trilogy. The first one is called, I'm just trying to remember what it's called, Out of the Silent Planet. And they're just incredible because they're like these really great sci-fi stories, but also have all this really profound theological truth in them. So, with C.S. Lewis, I find even with the Narnia books, there's always new depths to stuff as you read them. So, so I've reread them a lot. I love reading. I've always loved reading ever since I learned to read. It's just amazing because you can sort of escape into this other world that's not what you're having to kind of deal with day to day. So it's sort of really good just for rest and relaxation, but also you can learn so much about other times or other places. Like, I really like reading fiction stories, but because I've read fiction stories about Russia in the 1800s, I've sort of learned a bit about what it was like there, or learned a bit about, France like 100 years ago and things. So it's really interesting being able to learn not just what historically was going on, but also just what people's lives were like kind of day to day. I think you can learn a lot about yourself. Like, you encounter all these different ideas and they can be like really interesting or really challenging, and you can see how what the authors believed about stuff informed what they wrote. And it's really great like talking with people who've read the same books, and you can like go into what you think about what they were trying to say and stuff. I just love doing that kind of thing. I'm a bit of a nerd for that sort of thing. Happy reading.